All right, waiting on Nelsie, or is she making it? Go ahead and get going.
She knows where we're at.
Are you ready to go? Okay. The May 1st Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting is hereby called to order. Submission of exhibits for the record.
Yes, for tonight's meeting, first of all, I'm Daniel Erickson, Director of Planning and Zoning. The submittal of exhibits for tonight's record includes the Platte County zoning order of 1990 as amended, the Platte County subdivision regulations of 1992 as amended, Platte County future land use plan, Platte County roads master plan, singular, all PowerPoint presentations, aerial maps, site plans, and plats shown here tonight, as well as the Board of Zoning Adjustment bylaws.
Thank you. At this time, we could probably swear everybody in at one time. That's all right. So anybody's going to speak tonight, if you'd stand up, please. I'm going to have you swear in at one time. So if you're going to speak tonight, so raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the true self you got? Thank you.
You ready for item 3?
Yes.
All right. Item number 3 is a variance request submitted by Daniel Demery. Mr. Demery is seeking to rezone 45 acres of his,
Not rezoning.
I'm sorry,
Okay. All right.
seeking a variance to the side yard setback of this property, which is 45 acres in size. It's located on the Highway D at 16935 Highway D. The setback in ag is 100 feet, and he's requesting to build an accessory structure approximately 20 feet from the side property line. So he is requesting a variance of 80 feet. So to get your bearings here, this is south of Platte City. This is 435 Highway D or 120th Street. This is Mr. Demery's property. I believe it's 45 acres. It's a kind of an odd shaped, flag shaped lot, very narrow, extending south off of Highway D back to, this is an existing, his dwelling. Here's his driveway, and he's proposing an accessory structure to be located right there where the red dot is at approximately. This is a site plan that was submitted by Mr. Demery. This is the building, and the building is proposed to be 54 by 80 feet. It's an outbuilding for personal use. Mr. Demery, the applicant, has cited a couple of different issues in advocacy for this requested variance. One is the kind of unique topography of this property. Even though it is a 45 acre tract, it is very steep. As you can see, the high points here are here and here where the existing house is. Anytime you see the closer lines, that's where the land falls off. So you can see this is the drive. You can see it kind of falls back to the north here, falls to the south. And he's wanting to put this outbuilding practically right in here. Another advocacy that the applicants put forth is that some of this property has value as agricultural or part of an agricultural program. This is some of the information from the Farm Services talking about the ag land. I'll let him explain that. This is some of the area that's identified as being in conservation or I think he has it planted in conservation grasses. So he wanted to, I believe his intent is to show that we would not like to disturb this area and keep the new dwelling or the new outbuilding over by the existing driveway. There is an existing septic system that plays into the location. It services the house. It has been approved by the health department. This is a slide that's provided by the applicant, shows where this outbuilding is going to be and its distance from existing dwellings. It looks like it's nearly 3,000 feet or 2,800 feet from the nearest dwelling, which would be to the north and east. This is the Brother Hill property. I think they operate some of their grading business from that property. So upon visiting the site, it is hilly. If you've been along D Highway, you know that's kind of the topography that exists on the road. That topography exists on the property as well. He has mentioned some of the conservation areas, not wanting to disturb those areas. He is requesting a variance of 80 feet to the 100-foot side yard setback. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions of staff? Is the applicant present? Please step forward to the microphone. And you might,
I did not, the notice for variance is opposite and adjacent to anybody who touches that property, and we did not receive any letters of opposition or support in relation to this application. Which picture do you want? Well, you want that one or this one?
I did speak to both neighbors and they both said, go for it.
Okay.
So that helps.
oh, hey, please state your name and address.
Yeah. Dan Demery, 16395 Northwest 120th Street. Park City.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant?
Where's the septic field in this?
So if you go to maybe, so that would be the best.
Oh, this,
If you go to that color picture, 1B, you can kind of see, that one. So see
Is it right there?
that actually, no, it's just to the right of there. There's solar panels just down from that kind of angled yellow line, just south of the house.
Right there.
Actually to the east a little bit more. A little further, there's a little gray box right.
Oh, there, I see.
Yeah, that's solar panels right there. And then the septic system actually goes down and the laterals are all down that hill.
Sure.
Just inside that U-shaped dirt track that I ruined the grass by putting some dirt there. That's why that's there. If you go to that exhibit 1C, which is the monarch butterfly program. So that whole yellow area is all monarch butterfly program with the NRCS. So they're actually paying me to plant those grasses and
That's a 5-year program.
it is, yep. And then to the south of the red area is, they had me plant 24 trees. I planted 10 red oaks, 10 red cedars, and 10 red, they're on a blank. But you can kind of see that green square just to the east and southeast of the house. That's kind of the proposed area, which is really kind of a perfect fit for this particular building. And it makes the most sense with the driveway to keep it relatively close to the house.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak for or against the application? Any other discussion? So I'd be seeking a motion for the variance. I'll move it, grant the variance.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of granting the variance? Those opposed? 4-0.
So the next item, item 4 on our agenda is a request for a variance, another side yard variance. This time it's in the R25 zoning district, submitted by Matthew Cackley. This is a property located off Northwest Pleasant Drive. I'll just go to the aerial to get put you on the map here. This would be Weatherby Lake. That's Wrist Lake, 45 highway, 9 highway. So Parkville, the quick trip right there. So we're kind of in an area that largely developed in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in suburban style. And the property is located right there. So this is the applicant's property. As you can see, it's a longer than it is wide, it's 100-foot wide. The applicant is wanting to build a 32-foot garage onto the end of this house, basically from here all the way to match the front, all the way out to the edge of the current driveway back to here. It's zoned R25, so the current side yard setback in R25 is 20 feet. The applicant is requesting a variance to get to 4 feet, 4.7 to be exact. So he's requesting a variance of 16 feet from 20-foot side yard setback. Add some pictures. Well, I opened up, not that one. Sometimes it's easier to see it from what happened. There it is. This is from the Google view, so you can kind of get a good picture of what's going on here. So this is the view from the street. So the new building would come out basically the edge of this driveway. You see the house, it's kind of up. It'd be built right in here. In advocacy for this gentleman's request, he's stated that he has a hobby. I think that hobby involves cars at some level, and so he's wanting to build this garage in order to store some of that stuff that's currently parked outside, inside. Another factor as it relates to this property is this neighborhood was platted years ago before the 1990 and 1972 zoning map was adopted. And what happened was it was given zoning of R25, even though in R25, the minimum width is 125 feet. When this subdivision was created before zoning, it was 100 feet. So it doesn't conform to R25 zoning because it's 100 feet instead of 125 feet. So it is narrow for the zoning. So the applicants are requesting a 16-foot variance to the 20-foot side yard setback. So, picture of what it would look like. Jason did call. He said that we did receive one call from a neighbor inquiring about the request and the notice. They were in support or expressed support for the request, in particular because a lot of the vehicles that are currently parked outside will now be able to be parked inside. We did receive no other phone calls.
Questions of staff? So if you went down a density, what would your side yard setback? I mean, even in a high density, isn't it still 15 feet
The
probably?
highest density for an attached structure is R7 and it's 6.5. Now for a detached in R7, it's 4. So yeah,
What do you go to down from R25? What's your next?
R15, R10, I'd have to look it up.
R15, R10, R12, and then.
You know the side yard.
So what would
setbacks,
R15 be roughly?
Nothing gets to what you would need.
No, I get that.
You know this off the top of my head, right?
We don't normally get goofy questions.
R25. No. I got it. 15, the next R25, R15 is a 15-foot side yard setback for an attached building. R12, 12 feet.
That's good enough. I was just trying to get a flavor.
Yeah.
Any questions of staff? Is the applicant present? Oh, please step up to the microphone and state your name.
Matthew Cackley, 9402 Northwest Pleasant Drive. I call it Parkville, Missouri, 4152.
Thank you. Questions of the applicant?
You talk to the neighbors
Yes,
and what did they say?
everybody's like, I don't see why, that would be a problem. My neighbor to the west, Jimmy, his garage that he has attached to his, it kind of matches what I kind of want to do. Because his grows, he probably has a little bit more side yard before his and his neighbor to the east. I would estimate 6 feet. So I'm kind of mimicking what he has, only my idea would be, mine will be a little bit taller possibly. Yeah, because I think his garage door is a standard 8-foot garage door. I'm just trying to, I'm not taking any more space than the garage, or I'm sorry, the driveway that's already there. So I assume it would be okay. And if you look at a lot of the houses around the house, two doors to the, Jimmy's to the west, I'm sorry. 2 houses to the,
Up is north, I assume.
Yeah.
straight up is north, yes.
Yep.
Sorry. The house that's 2 doors to the east, to the right.
Right here.
Their side yard on the very corner of their house currently is pretty small also. So I think it kind of matches with a lot of what the neighborhood already is. As far as the side yards that were set when the house or the neighborhood was built. So I guess my not really an argument, but my point is that I think it'll match and conform with a lot of what's there already. And I don't see that there's any negative that is going to be according to it.
Which neighbors have you talked to? Thank you.
Okay, so Jimmy, which is on the west side, the left.
That one?
I just happened to run into the neighbor on the back side, with the north side, and talk to him about it a little bit. And then Greg and his wife, her name on the documents is different, but she goes by Lori. I talked to them. I hadn't personally talked, I talked to Dawn, which is on the southwest, one left there.
Right there.
And they all seem good. I didn't conversate with directly south or directly south east. I did knock on their doors, but
Did you talk to this person?
yeah, that's Jimmy. That's Craig.
How would this impact the drainage of the towards the neighbor?
Okay, so between my house and Jimmy's, there's a ravine, and it's already, all the property drains to that already. That will be something that I have to be concerned about when I do my footings and my foundation plan that I have as an idea, which I'll probably have to do a kind of a drainage culvert or a good French drain to divert it to the ditch, the low lying ditch that's in between our houses. That would be I think the biggest concern.
Have you considered doing anything detached like what your neighbor to the west has done? Or you be in conformance?
No.
About 3 houses over, there's a decent sized detached garage.
It's more of like a little workshop. It's relatively small and you couldn't put any kind of vehicle. I did consider a larger garage in the back, but it's a significant hill. I don't want to build any more back there because I like that as being just greenery, and there's a lot of animals that kind of just go back and forth back there. Plus, to me, it'd make it difficult. Like, for me, well, also a primary reason for this is I want to be able to get my vehicle, a full-size truck, in the garage. My current garage now, I can't put my truck in the garage. So if I was to make a detached garage in the backyard, back, it would be even more inconvenient. So, in combination with what I want to be able to do, it seemed to make more sense to me to just do an addition to the house.
The guy in the west of you seems like he's got about the same setup of what you got, to be honest.
You can't really go off those lines.
I know.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, when they did the survey and then marked it, the lines that you see look really accurate. I thought that was really odd, but yeah.
I mean, every lot's pretty real square though.
There's not like the overall property boundaries.
And if I did have a survey, David, and they did do the west side, yeah. That show their house, so.
He's about 37 feet off now. The existing house, to give you a flavor. Are there any other questions of the applicant? Oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak for or against the application? It's a pretty big ask. It's about 80% of the length of the house. And we're, at least in my mind, we're getting within 5 feet of the property line with no topography issues and no really lot challenges other than it's, just a rectangular lot. Does anybody have any questions of staff or comments? I think it's just one variance he's after. Somebody want to make a motion?
Could you pull up the deal again?
Let's see.
Yeah.
Got
And the other property, that,
this one?
no. One of the houses right there.
Let me zoom in a little bit.
Yeah.
And one thing I failed to mention, we've only got 4 of us here tonight. So I didn't say that at the outset of the meeting. Of giving people the option of,
Well, it takes.
I was thinking we'd have 5, but it's gonna take a 3 to 1.
Takes 3 to 1, 3, whether we had 5 or we had 4.
True, but you got a better shot.
Yeah.
Is that worth mentioning? So one thing I didn't mention at the outset of the meeting, I thought we were gonna have 5 people here, but we have 4. So it's a 5-person commission. It's gonna take a majority vote to pass anything. So if we had a 2-2 vote, does not pass. It's gonna take a 3 to 1 vote for any action, whether there's 4 of us here, or 5 of us here. We usually give folks the choice of, if they want to present, if they want to table it after they present it, or just not even present, their case, we give them that right since there's not all 5 board members here. So I'll just mention that if you want to table this until the next meeting, or if you want to move forward, that's fine. I'm just telling you what it's going to take tonight for anything to pass.
Okay, so I'll say,
Come up to the mic if you don't mind, please.
sorry, yeah, I understand like that setback being an issue and with the current regulation or zoning order and stuff like that, and even you guys had mentioned different zonings of having certain setbacks. If you guys are in doubt, I mean, we could, I know now it's weird to ask for it, but maybe set it back to where we have a 6-foot setback, and would that help any? That just brings the addition.
A 4-foot setback?
Yeah, a little bit more
I
than
think
4 foot.
the site plan shows it at 4.7, so he's rounding down to 4.
So if we brought the building to 30 foot, I think that would be adequate, and I would be happy with that, okay with that, and then I would just move my alignments over a little bit, but I think when we get under 30, it changes a lot.
So I'd move it from 4.7 to 6.7.
Yeah.
I'd probably be having it, but that's just my opinion. So
I'm sorry.
I'd be looking for half the structure in width. In other words, not encroaching, more than say 15 foot in. But that's not going to give you a 30 by 32 structure. So you'd be looking.
Yeah, that's
more like a 16, which would still be about a double car width. 2-car garage.
Yeah,
width.
I would have to do a lot more dirt work, I guess, is what.
Setback from the neighbor, the green line to the neighbor's
From
garage.
on this side.
Yeah, put it left.
I'm going to pull up a different program. I can put.
Is it, mind if I ask? Oh, the purpose of the setback is what?
Purpose of setbacks, so you're not on top of each other.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
I mean,
Oftentimes you've got utility easements.
Yeah,
You may not have one there, but
exactly.
you've got utility easements going down there. I mean,
Right. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff.
good fences, but have good neighbors.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
And whatever your neighbor did, I mean, those lines are not exactly.
I know.
accurate.
And it's it.
But I mean, that was approved, these homes were built in the 60s, so that was a
Right,
little different.
Yeah.
Right,
different deal.
but
Yeah.
we've already got a precedent there too,
Well, it's not precedent if it was built with a house at the time.
So the house roughly, his current house sets his house is currently non-conforming. The house is about 13 feet from the side property line.
Yeah, even on
And
the
then
east
from this
side.
property, this house, according to this, that's at about 30 feet.
You're talking about the one to the left is what
Yeah.
we're looking at.
According to this beacon map, which is not exactly
No, it's not.
accurate, but
So there's an R7. What's the next one up?
R7 would be your suburban, like Thousand Oaks. And then you go to R10, 12, 15. R7 setbacks are 6.5 feet for the house, or anything attached to the house. If you have a detached, like a shed, you can get down to 4 feet. So in a truly suburban
Sure, right.
type, that's a setback.
Also setbacks, fire problem,
Yeah, and just
all sorts of reasons. to have it.
aesthetics and drainage and coverage and property values and trying to set some minimum rules for how the thing lays out.
Currently detached, is it only 10 feet on detached?
Detached structure in R25.
I read 8 feet, sorry, that's what I
It's not
remember. 8 feet from the side, and I think 25 from the back line.
Or is it 15?
It's either 10 or 15,
Yeah.
I may have been reading the
Yeah.
wrong thing, I'm sorry.
yeah.
In other words, you wouldn't have to come see us if you were in compliance on a detached structure.
Actually, you might have.
Unattached-
Well, maybe. He's got room behind. He's got room behind,
So if the structure was detached, it would be 10 feet.
10 feet, to give you a flavor. So the choice is yours to move forward tonight, and we'll take, assuming I get a motion, we'll take a vote. or you can table it till our next meeting. That's your choice. If there were 5 of us here, there wouldn't be a choice. But, and I guess in theory, there still is.
When is your next meeting? Is it 3 months from now?
In August.
Yeah, August.
Oh, 4 months.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah, there's no guarantee. And one thing I just want you to understand that I don't have an opinion is even though it's zoned R25, was established narrower than the minimum.
Right.
So which is why probably every house in this neighborhood doesn't meet its setbacks.
Yeah.
I will make a motion. If you, or you want to go?
Yeah, why don't you?
Yeah, let's go, because I'm on like it.
I will
Sitting
make
on my
a
hands.
motion. If he's willing to go to the 6.7 foot setback, correct?
Yes. You acknowledge
And you
that.
were willing.
That
to
would
do
be
that,
great.
correct?
I mean, that would be.
I make a motion that we approve it with a 6.7 foot setback.
So moved.
So a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in motion agreeing the variance? Those opposed? So, yep. Thank you.
Okay. On to the next item. Item number 5. This is a request for variance. This is a Abijah Holdsworth, who owns property out off of Skyview Lane. This is out, I'll show you on a map earlier, kind of east of Platte City over by Smithfield, north of 435, just outside the Kansas City limits. It's a 104-acre property and it is currently landlocked, and the applicant is seeking a variance in order to build a home on this landlocked parcels. There's actually 2 parcels. So the property in question is right here. So here's Highway 92. So this would be Smithville. This would be the Hoover area on their way to Platte City. You can't see it. The 435 would be down here. So we're just north of 435 off a C highway. And right here, you can't see it, but there's what was an old road that came off a C highway that accesses this 104-acre property. There's currently 2 parcels back here, but under 1 ownership. So here's a little closer to the property. The property is zoned ag, and I believe a little sliver of it zoned R40. So he's actually technically requesting a variance of both ag and R40, but both related to the frontage requirements. So the applicant, as I explained, wants to build a house, maybe two houses on one on each parcel. So no more than 2, one on each parcel. You can't currently get a building permit for houses because it doesn't have the access. He has been in talks. He has an attorney and is in process of drawing up the paperwork for this easement over what was the abandoned road. It's my understanding, he can testify to this, he has verbal okay from everybody, but the final paperwork and easement has not been finalized. But that is his intent, is to access it right through here in order to build a home, maybe 2 total on this property. So that is the request. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions of staff? Is the applicant present this evening? Ooh. Please state your name and address.
My name is Abijah Holdsworth and the address is 308 Fourth Terrace, Smithville, Missouri.
Ooh, thank you. And where are you at with, how many landowners are you talking about with the easement?
We've got 3. You got Shell West that owns quite a bit of land to the north. Daniel Smith owns both parcels on the south side. And there's a Taylor Hamilton that owns the small triangle right there.
Okay. And do you have anything in writing from them? They're agreeable to this?
No, we met out on site and I've talked to them several times. They've all three given, verbal approval and that they would also benefit from the easement, having a higher quality driveway through there. Like you said, it's an abandoned county road now. It's pretty much just a dirt path. And we would fix it up and get it up to something we can use regularly. Like I said, I've got an attorney working on it. It has taken a little bit longer than expected. I thought we would have it done before this meeting. He's just working through getting all the approvals from, I don't know, whatever the lawyer has to do, that I'm not familiar with, but it should be done next day or two is what he said today. And I've been in contact with all three landowners throughout this process that they're still in agreement and, haven't changed their mind or had any objections. None of them had any objections when I talked to them or any, negative comments about it. Everybody was pretty happy and satisfied with the idea.
But we don't have anything in writing.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
And just to clarify, it's not required for somebody to request this variance that they have an easement, come here with an easement, but we've always asked. I mean, it becomes a civil issue if somebody built a house and all of a sudden there's dispute about the access. But that becomes a civil issue between the two parties. But it is not, there's nothing written in our rules to say you can't request this variance unless you have an easement. So
Will this be a county road then, or are you going to still keep it a private?
No,
road?
it'll still be private.
yeah, the road, and I don't know, it goes way back. I think at one time, if we did verify, it was a public road at one time, but it has long been abandoned. It is not a public access and will not become a public access unless somebody wants to build it to a certain standard and have it dedicated back to the public and the public agrees to take it.
We do have the easement surveyed. We've spent quite a bit of money going down that road, getting it all designed and everything like that so far.
Are there any other questions of the applicant? Yep. Oh, there'll be a time to speak. Yeah. On that. Thank you. Is there anybody that wants to speak for or against the application? Please step forward. And if I remember right, you may not have been sworn in.
That's correct.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth and nothing but the true self you got.
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Shell West, 13260 Northwest Skyview.
Thank you.
So I own the land that he's actually talking about.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with it. He has met with all of us. I just didn't think I was going to speak tonight, but since you guys were asking questions if he'd spoken to anyone, I thought I'd let you know that he has spoken to me. So I own the land north of where he's talking about. That lane has been there ever since I was a kid. It's always been used by the farmer who farmed it. And so I don't see a problem with it. That's all I thought I'd say.
Have you talked to any of the other landowners in question on the easement?
Yeah, we all did meet out there together recently, and none of them had a problem with it. In fact, the guy that's on the south, it would benefit him. It doesn't really benefit me any, but I don't oppose it.
Mhm.
The gentleman on Taylor Hamilton that has a little corner piece property, he could possibly benefit from it, and he had no problem with it when we were there. So just thought I'd put that in there.
No, I appreciate it. Any other questions?
Curiosity, who actually owns the property?
Which
Is
property?
it just?
Well, three different landowners.
It's three different animals?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Right.
are affected by that lane, yes.
Normally when something gets abandoned, it goes to the adjoining landowners.
Yeah, it's usually your ownership is usually the center thread of the road. So
Yeah.
And it is, if you look at, it's been surveyed, because I surveyed it myself, or well, had it surveyed recently, and it is pretty much down the middle of that lane.
Any questions of the speaker?
What exactly are we doing?
Thank you. Well, it's not gonna have, public road access. And then we have two variances, don't we, at least here? There's no frontage, minimum street frontage. Because there's no street.
In the county.
And then it erected on public or private streets, which we have this occasionally pop up. I mean, it's not ever gonna change.
Yeah,
And-
in
and
the
for a
county,
long
we have a regulation that says if you come in and get a building permit on land, that land has to have a minimum amount of public frontage, means the property has to front onto a public road. Now, this obviously it's landlocked, created who knows when. And so that in essence is there's two provisions. One, in each zoning district, it talks about a minimum amount of street frontage. For an ag, it's 100 feet. So he's basically asking for 100% variance from that requirement because he has zero frontage. We need the 100-foot variance to the 100-foot minimum requirement. And there's another provision in the zoning order that says you have to have frontage. So he's requesting a variance from that. So basically, he's come before this board that says this is a unique situation. I can't get a building permit for this 104 acres. I'd like to build a house. But I need this variance before I can do it.
And just as a matter of record, anybody in the audience that's already heard their issue, you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to stay till the meeting's over. So on that. So that's what he's, which it's not uncommon. I usually like to see that the staff has got the easement, seen it, because occasionally we end up in a situation where the easement doesn't happen, but that's a civil matter,
yeah,
versus,
I have no problem with giving him the variances because I think I hope we're not putting the cart before the horse here.
it is the cart before the horse to some degree. Although what would happen if we granted the variance, he goes to build a house, doesn't get the easement done, he's not getting access to his
Well, then
legal access
then
to
he's
his
gonna
property.
be in court probably with his neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, normally I like to see the easement in hand first.
And we do too, and that's why we asked for it, and that's why he was sent
Yeah.
off on this task to get it. It just but it does sound like it's imminent.
Mhm. By the same token, if without the easement, why would you start building a home? So
Yeah.
on that end,
Yeah, the bank may say
yeah,
not to get you.
yeah. Any other questions or comments? So this would be two variances, I believe, which we normally would vote for them together.
This isn't creating a situation where you can put the house up against the edge of the property though, correct?
No,
Okay.
it was still the
have to have
applicant, the
setbacks.
current, the zoning that, he's not changing the zoning. So the ag has the ag setbacks and there is like a small sliver of R40, which he has to meet those setbacks.
Move to we accept the
Variances.
variances.
Second.
A motion, a second, any further discussion? All those in favor of granting the variances, 4-0 against.
So our last variant on our agenda tonight is a request submitted by Leslie and Barbara Edwards. They own property in northern Platte County. Yeah, is that right? Off of Fry Road. Yeah, Fry Road, 19190 Fry Road. It's currently zoned agricultural. There's an existing house, and like a lot of old properties, older farmhouses, the house is built years ago prior to zoning near the road. And so the house is what we consider grandfathered in or legal non-conforming. They are looking to improve the house. They wanted to add a back deck, improvement to the back of the property, which was fine and met setbacks. Gail issued the permit. That's being done right now. But they also want to put a covered patio on the front of the property, the front of the house, which would technically push the setback even closer than it already is. So they're requesting a variance in order to do that. So, like I said, we're on Fry Road. This is northern Platte County. Well, here's Smithville. So you're just over on the eastern northern portion of Platte County, B Highway. Here's the property. Here's the home with some outbuildings behind it. A little closer view. So, like I said, there's 100-foot setback from here, which the back of the house could meet. So we issued that permit. So you're not hearing that tonight, but the applicants also want to put a 6-foot porch. I believe it's a covered porch on the front of the house. And so they need a setback. They're requesting a variance in order to get a permit to do that work. Like I said, this is not uncommon, especially with some of these old farmhouses. They built the house up by the road, so they have more land to farm in behind. And then modern zoning comes in, and lo and behold, the house is non-conforming. So they're requesting a variance of 21 feet to the minimum setback of 100 feet. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions of staff? Ooh, is the applicant or the representative present? Please state your name and address.
I'm Dale Ashleford. I'm the contractor representing the Edwards, and my address is 16520 North Winden Road, Platte City, Missouri.
Ooh, thank you. Are there any questions of the contractor? It seems pretty straightforward. Ooh, thank you.
It's easy.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak for or against the application? We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
Bub
I didn't hear you.
granted he was making a motion to grant the variance.
Okay. Second, Ryan, did you say?
Any other discussion? We have a motion of variance. All those in favor? 4-0 against. Approval of minutes. Does anybody have any changes to the? We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
We have a second. All those in favor? 0. Other business?
Just a couple quick items. First, Jason's not allowed to be sick ever again.
Good job,
Because if
Daniel.
you haven't done it for a while, you kind of forget how to do it. Gail has been working hard on, we are in the process of adopting new permitting software, which will grant the public much greater access to the permitting process. It's for those who want to use it. It'll be online. You'll be able to file applications online. Even BZA applications, you file it, you pay for it. It's nice because the applicant can kind of track where their application is, it's been reviewed. We're waiting for this, that it prompts to let people know where it's at. In theory, the public will be able to kind of see an application during process, kind of see what's been submitted and published. You guys eventually, you'll get all that online. You'll be able to see it, even opposed to just waiting or getting a week prior to the meeting. You'll be able to get in there and see some of that stuff. But it'll hopefully give better access to the public to the process, give the public better access to the public meetings, and have a better product, and everything will be digitized automatically because you have to scan it in, so we don't have to go scan it in. It'll be there. So we're working on that, getting very close to that. So a lot of bugs, so we're working on it. And I will sit down and let our attorney, Mr. Makers, get up here and talk about our huge victory in court.
That we had the other day. I attribute any and all victory to Bob and his hard work. I'll say that at the outset. Yeah, I did want to at least keep the board aware. I have copies of the most recently issued decision by the Western District.
Thank you.
No, I'm sorry.
No, that's.
I brought extra copies.
That's fine.
I will for everyone to continue the meeting any further than necessary, right? Going through all 36 pages of the case I just handed out, but I did think it was at least something to pass along to the board and kind of touch on what some of the major points were that the court ended up determining pursuant to the decision. At least when I reviewed this case, and I believe how the court kind of interpreted the main arguments being proposed by the appellants, was basically boiling it down to two different points that were on appeal. And one was the nature of what the zoning order meant and what the provisions were supposed to be interpreted as. And then the other was the question of whether the 2017 application, which had been denied, automatically barred a subsequent decision to grant a special use permit on the same property. And at least in regard to the appellant's claim saying that the minimum existing infrastructure requirements were not met, the court made an interesting finding and said that if they were to follow their argument concerning the minimum infrastructure requirements, that would be required for every single special use permit type of property, including cemeteries, big box department stores. And they said, well, to have something like water access to a cemetery, under that theory wouldn't quite make sense. And then in reading the plain language of when a special use permit may or may not be granted, the court adopted in effect the argument of CKC and the county, which was the plain language of the zoning ordinance gives the board authority to deny an application if the minimum existing infrastructure requirements are not met, but it does not mandate that from the board. And then, in regard to the previous litigation on the property, which occurred back in 2017, the court didn't give a bright line sort of rule regarding how many changes need to occur before you can, in effect, change a previous decision, but did say because of the substantial nature of the new application differing from the previous application, including a different kind of waste management, a different kind of allocation of buildings, and a shifting of the project to the east of where it had currently been planned, the court basically said that was enough to allow the board discretion to, in effect, change its decision on a subsequent occasion. And so it was, I think, encouraging, at least to see that the court is not taking, the courts don't seem to be taking a very hard and fast rule of if it's denied once, it can never be entertained again. They, in effect, seem to be saying, assuming substantial changes have occurred and are in the record, that discretion is allowed. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm happy to answer them.
This end it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay.
Is their appeal period over or?
The appeal period is over, so it is now a final decision.
Yeah, my paraphrase is common sense rules and the judges will do everything they can not to intervene in board decisions. They don't want to be involved in what you all think, I think their view kind of boils down to as long as you're following the rules and using kind of, not going off and doing something illegal, they don't want to come in and say, oh, you're wrong about that. they prefer the decision be made at the local level and not by courts unless something dramatic is wrong, somebody acted inappropriately or took money under the table, which we don't do, something like that.
Yeah, there's a case, to touch on Dan's point that is quoted in the decision, the Karsh decision. And it basically, in effect, says if the evidence presented to the courts could support either position, they in effect defer to what the board ended up entering as their decision.
Good work.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure to work with you guys ahead of time and represent the board in this capacity. So thank you.
It only took 7 years.
Wheels of justice, grind slowly.
Well, yeah, well, that's even before mine. That's all I got.
We will stand adjourned. Thank you.
Motion.
Probably not.